This episode of the Grand Rising Show was brought to you by Autochthonous Assembly, where the real work gets done. Autochthonous Assembly is a gathering of the minds that do the work. Now, for many of our first-time subscribers and first-time visitors, you may be wondering who Autochthonous Assembly are. You can find this information about our mission statement and our core values on the website at autochthonousassembly.com/about. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising up Indigenous American voices by using genealogy, also known as family history, or your family tree, which is the study of families and the tracing of their lineages and history. Genealogists use oral interviews, historical records, genetic analysis, and other records to obtain information about a family and to demonstrate kinship and pedigrees of its members. Our core values are the foundation of our company, which is essential to our success and serve as a lens through which we evaluate every business decision. Those core values are, but are not limited to, integrity, which is knowing and doing what is right; respect, which is treating others the way you want to be treated; responsibility, which is embracing opportunities to contribute; and servant leadership, which is serving the common good. Now, at Autochthonous Assembly, we have a couple of goals here. And our first goal and foremost of the reason why we do everything that we do is to ensure that we help you do your genealogy and connect back to your tribe and find out where you are from. Everything that we do from the standpoint of the Grand Rising Show and all the information that's posted on the website is dedicated to that one specific purpose: helping you find your genealogy, find your relatives, find your family so that you will know exactly who you are. And if you choose to, tie back into your tribe, whether that tribe is a Native American tribe, an American Indian tribe, whether it's allowing you to determine which house in Africa that you belong to, or what clan of Scandinavia or Europe or France that you belong to. Either way, our goal is to do just that: help you find out who you are so you know exactly where to start. We are not here to tell you who you are, and we're not here to tell you who you are not. We're just here to help you discover your beginnings. Another one of our missions is to help you become financially independent so that you can help your generations for the next 7 generations and be able to put a stable foundation for you and your relatives. And if you should choose to use this information that we provide free of charge to help not only yourself, but your community and your tribe, then we will do everything in our power to make sure that gets done as well. And remember, our goal here is to make sure that we help you get exposed to this information to put you in the best situation possible. So now what I'm going to do now is return it back over to the panel to see if there was anything I missed, and I will go ahead and get set up so we can get ready and get digging into this information. Panel, take it away.
Warning, warning, warning. Hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots. Required.
Rising, Grand Rising. Where's the slideshow? There we go. Grand Rising. Hope everyone's doing well. What's going on, Bones? What's going on Sellout?
Not much. Another rising. Glad to be here.
As am I. Ain't
nobody doing nothing.
Really? Ain't nobody doing nothing?
Guilty.
Peace, y'all. Grand Rising. What's going on?
Hopefully everyone's enjoying their Tuesday rising, or was it for Tuesday? Two Friday? Whatever. I can't. I can't. I don't know how y'all do it. Is it 2 Friday since today's Tuesday? Second Friday of the week?
To Friday.
To Friday. Okay. All right, got it. Y'all put some ones in chat if y'all can hear us. Let us know that we're coming through loud and clear, or if someone's mic needs to be turned up. Oh man. So I wanna okay, we got some ones, we got some 2 Fridays, and we got some 7s. Really, David? This is what we doing already? We got a Juan. Thank you, Macadon. See what y'all started, Bones? No sell out. See what y'all did? Let's see how it works. So I want to say a grand rising and peace to the new subscribers. Realizing that you could have subscribed to anybody's channel, we appreciate you for giving us a shot, and hopefully you had an opportunity to check out the public service announcement that breaks down who we are, what we do, and why we're here. And if you were not able to because you came on a little bit later, you can get that information on our website at www.autochtonousAssembly.com/about. I want to send a shout out and grand rising to the Autochthonous Assembly Silent Majority, or the A2 Silent Majority. Definitely appreciate y'all for coming in, because without y'all, we wouldn't have the numbers. So keep doing what you do, keep supporting your community, keep investigating this information, fact checking it, not believing what we say, and correcting us when there's some things that need to be corrected. And to the greatest chat on earth. We still don't have a name for them, do we? Okay.
Nope.
Gotta let them name themselves,
To
right?
Celestial, real quick, to Celestial Love, check your email. You should have your access to the Ancestry account. If there's any issues, just email us back.
Exactly.
And to anyone else that is pretty far along in their genealogy process that's getting stuck, please email us at autochtonousassembly@gmail.com so we can speak to you about our ancestry.com community account.
Where did that professional voice come from, Mr. Program Director?
No, I'm up this rising.
Oh.
Well, I guess he's indubitably on his task this rising.
Indubitably. Yes, indubitably. How now, brown cow? Oh, I'm ready.
Big Hawk says he's got 5 on it, whatever that means.
On the Ancestry account, he got 5 on it.
Got it.
Y'all, this rising.
You started, you told us you ain't gonna fool with us this rising.
And that
Y'all
always
did it. I came in the room normal. Mm-hmm.
It was TMA started.
We already know there's no way that you could have came in the room normal.
Oh, what you trying to say, TMH? He had a duck?
He is not normal.
You gotta come in the room ducking.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch your head. Mind your head, boy.
I'm gonna start stuff. Alright, so let's get these shout outs on the way. Grand Rising Copper Color Ancestor, Grand Rising Cab, Grand Rising No Sellout, Grand Rising David Corey, Grand Rising Doodle Vision, Grand Rising Copper Chopper 803, Grand Rising Lady J, Grand Rising LJ Free. Grand Rising Macadon 1. Grand Rising Mike Easton. Grand Rising Celestial Love. Grand Rising Mr. TJ. Make sure I haven't missed anyone.
Well, Doodoo, the answer to that question is pow.
Grand Rising Big Hawk. Grand Rising Trab Bab.
Trav, if you need help with SEO, just send us an email. We got you.
Grand Rising Enrique. Okay, I think I have everybody that has came in thus far. What do y'all talk about, Bones? Never mind.
Oh, well, Doodoo question was, what did the 5 fingers say to the face? Pow! And Trav asked, was anybody good with SEO? So I told him just send us an email.
Mm-hmm. Grand Rising Elboria. So, y'all ready?
You know it.
I got about
we
40
do about
minutes.
this time.
You said you got about what?
40
6
minutes,
minutes.
of
6 minutes.
jabbering.
Oh, so you got
Jabber.
You got 6 minutes of reading, didn't you?
Just 6. I say I got 40.
Oh, 40 minutes. All right.
Check your own.
Let me go ahead just clock so we can get everybody prepared. Everybody with a ratchet, man your stations or one man your stations. Start handing out the equipment because it's about to get fun. Here we go. So we're picking up where we left off yesterday, but before we do that, let's talk a little bit about what we learned yesterday for those who are just coming in or just tuning in for the first time. We're talking about the area of Argentina and in reference to American Indians, their displacement, and what happened with that. After the Maya, Incas, and the Mayas, Incas, Aztecs, and Olmecs got moved north because of disease, migration, and all of that, the Iberians came in and started settling. And then after they started settling, here come the Germans, or the Franks. So there are very few, or there's only remnants of the original inhabitants, Ayas, the Mayans, the Incas, the Olmecs, and the Aztecs. They were replaced by the Iberians, who are erroneously called your Spaniards today. And then after they got settled, here come your Germans. And what we learned is that in addition to the 8 million Germans that hit the coast of the Americas, there's been an additional 4 million Germans that hit Argentina alone. So we're talking over 12 million Germans coming to this area over the last 100 years, if not sooner.
Yeah, that's and it's interesting that when you see the numbers, over 49.5 million in the Americas alone, more than 1/3 of the German population lives in America. Matter of fact, they're the largest ethnic group in America. Ain't that something?
It is. So what that tell you? Also, they were recruited to come here.
Pamphlet.
Yep. To Brazil, Chile, and Argentina, and also the U.S. So it's not like it was, we're going to come here for freedom, this, that, and the third. No, they were recruited to get here. So something also to think about.
Yeah, not to mention they had choices on where to go. A lot of the Germans went down to South America. They chose South America because they were Catholics. A lot of the ones that were Protestants, they chose North America. They did have a choice. It wasn't that, oh, they just grabbed these Germans and sent them over. No, they let them pick.
And also, too, when it comes to that part about the Germans had their choice of whether or not to go to the Catholic area or the Protestant area, the narrative that is taught is that they didn't have a choice. So it goes to show and further prove that history lies to create a narrative. If they're going to lie to create a narrative for their own, why wouldn't they lie to create a narrative or hide our information? Grand Rising Shia Cole 2. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. So that's something to think about. If they're lying about their own story, why would they tell the truth about ours? Something to think about.
Possibly Shay Cole? I'm not sure. Shay. Maybe Shay.
Okay. Shay Cole, forgive me.
We don't know. We can't read.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Just phonetically spell it. You know, whatever it rhymes with, I'll get it right now. Correct next time. Thank you. Stop picking on me. No, sell out.
Ain't nobody done
that. And also, too, what we learned from yesterday is that there are more Germans to come. And also, too, we're already in the 20th century, and there hasn't been one mention of any Africans. Where no sell-off left off yesterday, we was in the 1920s and 1930s, and there still have been there has been no talk of them running into any Africans or any
African slaves.
None of that. Where are they?
Okay, I almost forgot that we were. Well, I guess we're not looking for them, but it's just funny that we're not looking for something. I mean, it's not. We're not making it a point to go be searching for African slaves in South America. I mean, it's world history right now. But even though we ain't looking for them, I mean, I don't know. Usually when you ain't looking for something that's right in your face, it's just funny that it's not.
Ain't nobody checking for no slaves.
Nobody checking for a lot of these. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to pop up on you. It's not happening. Happening.
Mm-mm-mm.
And what strikes me as odd in this whole thing is you have very detailed records of indentured servants. But now the people that made you the most money, you don't have none? Let me say, you had to have insurance for slaves. So you don't have no records of slaves, but you was paying insurance on these people.
I like how you said that too. The people that made you the most money.
Yeah.
Where they at?
Yeah, because the slaves had no overhead. Think about it, you ain't paying them. So what overhead did you have to maintain your business? If you growing, let's just say cotton, that's all profit because you're not paying anybody. So that, if you have anything marked down on file, it would be that. And not to mention, slavery was legal. So what are you hiding? Are you hiding the fact that the people that you said slaves weren't your slaves? That's what you changed later on in history.
Or are you hiding the fact that the people that were slaves from Africa were actually Indians?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the question we need to address. Who are these individuals, and who said that these were these individuals? Because at the end of the day, it's about getting the information correct.
You know, the same people that's responsible for rewriting the Civil War in the South are the same Germans that's responsible for your educational system. You didn't have a kindergarten in America until the Germans came and set it up.
Isn't kindergarten a German word?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The whole educational system is based off of German philosophy. That their thing was to train a workforce. Look back at how we went to school. And a lot of us went to school through the 70s, through the 90s. Our school was designed for an assembly line. That's why we went, think about it, you go to school. You get a 15-minute break in the morning, go back to class. You had lunch, go back to class, another 15-minute break, finish off the day. Ain't that the work of an assembly line worker? 15-minute break, 30-minute lunch, 15-minute break. That's all school was indoctrinating you to go to work. You go to school the same hours people work, doing the same hours of the day. You do that for 18 years of your life, you programmed to do this now. It became a habit. It's a part of you. You just do it.
Yeah, I can see that. Magadon One says a doctor that lives in town I grew up in showed me that his great grandparents came to America in the late 1800s from Germany. Ain't nothing changed. The same story, the same thing they did to our ancestors here in North and Central America. It's the same thing they did or doing in South America. They're just finishing off the colonization of South America and Africa, and they're looking to replace or move us to Africa and move somebody else to South America. So LJ Free says education equals preparing one for work in the etymology. The question should be work for who? But I digress. Well, excuse me. No, sell out. Sorry, got a little happy. No, sell out. Where you at?
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah, I'm here.
You good? So you ready to read?
Yeah, yes, I am.
You know where we at?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I am gonna find it. Hold on. No, I am gonna find it. I know that.
Upon arriving in Argentina, the Volga German families were very happy, even though they had to begin from scratch. So that's where we're at, and that's under the Volga German immigration. So you're talking about period 1, 2, 3, 4.
Why, when I look at free breaking down German in the chat, it seemed like the European word for autochthonous, meaning to spring forth, to sprout up.
What did she push? Okay, it says German nation. Where's Waldo? German nation. Mid 15th century from Latin germanatium. Nominative germinatio. A sprouting forth, buddy. Noun of action from past participle stem of germinary. To sprout, put forth shoots from German. Genitive germanis. A sprout or bud. See germ. Well, it's
like they're our polar. It would make sense if they were our polar opposite. If everybody has an equal in life, someplace on this planet, wouldn't it would. I can't put it past the fact that they would be our shadow in a sense, and we would be their shadow. Two different groups of people that really don't have connections like that, but have basically the same type of stories.
Mm-hmm. Free says inverted duplicate or double or devil. I mean, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Did you find it? No,
Reading for Veda. The Swarf is strong with this one.
Swarf. Go ahead. That's all. You found it yet?
Yeah, you said upon what?
Upon arriving in Argentina, the Volga German families.
Okay, I'll make sure that's what we said. All right. Mic check. Grand Rising. Peace out. Upon arriving in Argentina, says TMH, the Volga German families were very happy, even though they had to begin from scratch because they were finally living in freedom. In contrast to their Volga German countrymen in Russia, they would never be exiled. They did not experience famines. They would never be exiled. They did not experience famines like those of 1921 and 1933 in the Volga region, nor any mass shootings and deportation as under Stalin's regime. Finally, they were never dispossessed. They kept their land and their animals, something they remain proud of to this day. The immigration of Germans from Russia to Argentina kept a steady pace until the beginning of World War I. Crespo in Entre Rios province and Coronel Suarez in Buenos Aires province became the most outstanding centers of colonization, as in both cities, people of Volga German descent make up the majority of the population. At the present time, the descendants of these people live disseminated all over Argentina. The numerous progeny of the original founders and the division and distribution of their properties into smaller lots forced many of them to abandon the original colonization sites and find new occupations.
Stop. What'd you say?
Nothing.
You said something.
He said something. He sound like Debo. Yeah, you got something. Oh man, I ain't saying that.
So apparently these Volga Germans, which were your Russian Germans, they basically had a clean slate. They were not exiled. They didn't experience famines like those in the 20s and 21s of 1933, nor any mass shootings and deportation. So they got out from up under Stalin regime.
But what's really telling about these Volga Germans, they were very excellent farmers.
So that's another reason why they was recruited to come in, because of their farming.
Yep.
But hold on. I thought that's the reason why they went and got African slaves, because African slaves were good for... No, they weren't, were they?
Nope. But if you have German colonies in West Africa and Southwest Africa, where a lot of these Germans went before they came here, and you pick them up from there, then technically you can say you brought Africans here, since Germans created the whole African term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by this time the continent was known as Africa. Because we're in the 20th century at this particular point in time. Division says West Africans had no grass. How could they farm? Free says interesting. World fairs often dealt with agriculture. Well, the World Fairs seem to be the processing center for immigration, like one big fanfare.
Don't them hats all them people wearing and suits look German? I'm just saying though.
Yeah. New Division says vulgar equals profane. That's interesting. So, we still in the mid-1900s and still haven't come across any Africans. Interesting. Grand Rising, Arthur Gray.
Yeah, no.
Not Nana.
I mean, shouldn't a large population of them been there already? If they say they move 12 to 10 million African slaves, with only 10%, up to 300 to 500,000 coming to North America. So you talking about the other 9.5 million supposed to be in South America somewhere, but where?
That's a good question.
Think about it. It's supposed to be 9.5 million African slaves at this time in South America.
Hold on. You said this. Wait.
Remember, they said the slave trade is anywhere, what they said, 10 million. And out of that 10 million, only 5 to 10% came to the U.S. So let's get them the benefit of the doubt. Let's round it off. Let's say 500,000 extended to 1 million, just to play with the numbers that came to North America. So like I said, anywhere from 9.5 million to 8 million African slaves should be running around someplace in South America. But it seems like the largest populations in all these areas are Germans, and they're not talking about these Germans bumping heads with no African slaves. And if you got slaves all in here, why are you bringing these Germans in to do the work?
Why you always lying?
Interesting. I don't know what to say. I really don't. And the last thing that Nacional read in the comments, he says numerous prodigy of the original founders and division of distribution of their properties into smaller lots forced many of them to abandon their original colonization sites to find new occupations. So that means they were employed, they was working. Trabab says, did they have a special trade or skill that the slave didn't have? Yeah, they were real. They were available. They weren't ghosts. They weren't figments of somebody's imagination. They were tangible. You ever seen a ghost plow field? Go ahead, Bones.
The next paragraph says the fact that Argentina appears among the most important grain producers of the world is, in part, responsibility of its citizens of Volga German origin. Again, the fact that Argentina appears among the most important grain producers of the world is in part responsibility of its citizens of Volga German origin. So your Volga Germans were the farmers, growing all the grains and the beef and everything out there in South America. If you study the history of Africa, you'll find out these same Germans in the 1500s had colonies in Africa doing the same thing, Volga Germans.
The most important grain producers of the world. Top flight of the world, Craig. I'm just saying. It says today, Volga German population alone, over 2 million people in Argentina. That's a lot of people, Bones.
Yes, Volga wheat, Swart Veda. Volga wheat.
Shia Cole says the original Germans were people of color before the Caucasian Germans. That's true. They were. They got expelled right after the Ottoman power lost control of Iberia.
Could this mislabeling all these melanated people as Africans to hide the fact that they were Germans? Because when you look at the records, the stories say African, but the paper trail shows a whole lot of Germans and other European folks and Iberians and whatnot. Lions, tigers, bears, oh my.
Yeah. It's a bit much. But, I get it. That's what people do. Especially this country. They stretch the truth a little. Just a little.
A little? That's so stretched out. You ain't never gonna be able to wear that no more.
Free says vulgar, adjective, late 14th century, common ordinary from the Latin vulgaris. Vulgaris, of or pertaining to the common people, common vulgar. Low mean from vulgus, the common people. Multitude, crowd, throng. Interesting. She says perhaps from the power root, well, to crowd, throng. Source also Sanskrit, vulgar, division, group, Greek, Eline, to press throng. Middle Breton, Walsh, abundance, Welsh, Guala, sufficiently enough. Not in Watkins, meaning coarse, low, ill-bred. Then Free puts, is the first recorded in 1640s, probably from earlier use, with reference to people, with meaning belonging to the ordinary class, 1530, related vulgarity.
That would make sense, because these Germans, they didn't sit in wealthy families or high positions.
Right.
They were what you would call your common folks.
The commoners.
Fan Rising Golden Moon.
Blue Vision says that with Dirt Poor and Shiako says it's believed that Venezuela is a #1 oil place. Maybe that's why there was sanctions placed on it, turning into a third world country. So that's one of the things they do. They bankrupt a country, then they go in and the banks bail them out, and now they are indebted to the country that bailed them out, and then they end up just selling that debt off to other countries and having them bring their people in so they can take over and access all of the resources. So I can see how that's plausible. Go ahead.
They did what Donald Trump's skill set is: bankrupting a company so it can be bought out by another company. Business mergers. We say country, but in reality, ain't no borders. That's a company created on paper.
True. Very true. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and read some more. It says, military connection between Argentina and Prussia has often been emphasized, as sympathy for German among the general staff in Buenos Aires contributed to establishing Argentina's policy of neutrality during the world wars. From the point of view of Argentina's strategists at the end of the 19th century, it was a clever move to fall in line with the strongest European war machine. Great Britain, and North America became aware of the threat that Argentina's German speakers, which were 250,000 strong, acted as the Reich's agent. There was indeed widespread support for Nazi Germany among the Argentines, not least under the aspect of counterbalancing Anglo-US influence in the region. What the world?
So the Third Reich had a home in Argentina. So you might as well just say South America, because Argentina and Venezuela ain't the only places they went.
Here's the thing that's funny. Great Britain and North America became aware of the threat. So they knew.
Mm-hmm. Well, Great Britain really couldn't do anything, because what you have come to find out in time, that these Germans and this British crown go hand in hand.
Right.
The British crown is ruled from Germany.
That's right.
Queen Anne is a German.
Say it again. Say it again so I get you.
Queen Anne is of German descent. The Queen of England, Catherine, the one that made the deal with the Germans. Remember, she was the one that was allowing them to come. I won't say allow, that let them choose where they wanted to go. Catholic area or Protestant area.
So she was taking care of her brethren.
Yep.
That's how you end up having all these Nazis and Germans over in South America.
Mm-hmm.
Doodle Vision says, what did Vin Diesel, the swarthy Dutch, tell you in the Fast and the Furious movie? This is Brazil. That's right, they did do it. They did shoot in Brazil.
Kind of funny, you hit it right on the head, because he's German.
Well, the diesel engine comes from Germany. So.
Yep.
And you know what? We still haven't ran into any of right now in the first two paragraphs. Guess what? We still haven't come across any Africans. We talking World War I moving in towards World War II, and no Africans still in South Argentina, or in Argentina, period. Interesting. It says there was indeed widespread support for Nazi Germany among the Argentines, not least under the aspect of counterbalancing Anglo-U.S. influence in the region. So you talking about Anglo. We know who the Anglos are. Free pointed that out in the chat. And then it reads, after World War II, under Juan Perón's government, Argentina participated in establishing and facilitating secret escape routes out of Germany to South America for ex-SS officials. The Odessa.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Stop the presses. These are Nazis, Germans that's supposed to have did some of the most worst things to people on the planet during times of war. And you know there's escape routes with them going to South America. And you do nothing? But I thought they were enemies, though.
Are they? I mean, let's be real. Are they really enemies?
Why you always
See, that's a hard thing to
lying?
be when you come to realize that you had British colonies and the people in the British colonies were from a German Frank descent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they really not enemies.
They frenemies.
Mm-hmm. Well, they enemies to us, but they're not
Yeah.
enemies to each other.
They are friends who are our enemy. How about that? And for those that have been wondering why we're talking about South America and we're talking about Germany and we're talking about Franks and we're talking about Iberians, it's because many of our ancestors originated in these areas. The Olmecs, the Mayans, the Incas, the Aztecs. This is their home. This is where they came from. So knowing what happened after they were moved out puts things in a better perspective of why they didn't go back. So if you're only going to focus on one portion of history, or you're only going to focus on one continent, you're mixing the big picture, because by the time you get to 7 generations, you already got 256 grandparents. Not all 256 grandparents come from the Americas or come from the United States. They come from other places. So if you really want to know who you are and get a really good grasp, you have to cover world history, because our ancestors were all over the world.
Facts.
So if our ancestors were all over the world, why would we just stop in the Americas? I know my ancestors, they were on ships, and they weren't just on the Mississippi. They weren't just dealing with Americas. They dealt with all the continents. They had influence all over the world. So if they had influence all over the world, I need to know who they influenced to see where the rest of my genealogy goes. So for those who were wondering that question out aloud, hopefully that answers your question. Anyway, that's right.
Yeah, that's
David.
a fact.
Yeah. People ask questions that they don't know, that they don't want to know the answer to for real, but it's all good. We here. We ain't going nowhere. Often imitated, never duplicated.
Never ever.
Juan Perón's government. So the government was participant in establishing and facilitating secret escape routes out of the Germans. Let's look up who this Juan Perón is and see what ties he has to the United States.
You mean ties to Germany? Because when you look at that picture, he don't look German, looking like Adolf Hitler brother.
I know. Heil Hitler. 8 October 1895, 1 July 1974 was the Argentine Army general and politician after serving in several government positions, including Minister of Labor and Vice President. He was elected President of Argentina 3 times, serving from June 1946 to September 1955, when he was overthrown in a coup d'etat, and then from October 1973 until his death in July 1974. During his first presidential term, Perón was supported by his second wife, Evita, and they were immensely popular among the Argentine working class. Didn't they do a song named after her, Evita? She died in 1952, and Perón was elected to a second term, serving from 52 to 55. During the following period of 2 military dictatorships interrupted by 2 civilian governments, the Peronist Party was outlawed and Perón was exiled. When the left-wing Peronist Hector Jose Campara was elected president in 1973, Perón returned to the Argentina and was soon after elected president for a third time. Let me ask you this question. LJ Free says, yes, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina by Madonna. So here's a question. They said Perón was exiled, but they don't tell you where he was exiled to. Where do you think he was exiled?
Around the corner?
Mm-hmm. Remember the last dictator that was exiled?
Mm-hmm.
In Honduras, what was he exiled to? United States?
Mm-hmm. And this dude is Iberian, British, and French, just to give you his backstory.
So he Germaned out.
Yep, to the core.
He a Franc for real. So his third wife, Maria Estela Martinez, known as Isabel Perón, was elected vice president on his ticket and succeeded him as president upon his death in 1974. Talk about keeping it in the family. Good grief. Although they were still controversial figures, Juan and Eva Perón were nonetheless considered icons by the Peronists. The Perón's followers praised their efforts to eliminate poverty and to dignify labor, while their detractors considered them demagogues and dictators. The Peróns gave their name to the political movement known as Peronism, which is present-day Argentina, is presented mainly by the Justicialist Party. Wow. Justicialist Party. Peronism is a political phenomenon that draws support from both a political left and a political right. Peronism is not considered a traditional party, but a political movement because of the wide variety of people who call themselves Peronists, and there is a great controversy surrounding his personality. A number of following Argentina presidents are considered Peronists, including administrations covering a majority of the democratic era. Hector Campara, Isabel Perón, Carlos Salmenim, Adolf Rodriguez Saa, Eduardo Duhalde, Nestor Kirchner, and Christina Kirchner. Let me put that in the chat so y'all can go look that up. Put it in the chat for further review. And the chat is buzzing. What y'all talking about? Okay. So I put that link in the chat. Gonna go back. So let's look at the German impact on culture in Argentina. We may find out some intriguing information. The influence of German culture has always influenced the Argentine cuisine. Schlag cake, which was translated as torta onchenta, golpes in the country. It can be found in some bakeries. In addition, dishes like chucrut, which is sauerkraut, and many different kinds of sausages like bratwurst and others have also made it into mainstream Argentine cuisine. Stop for a second.
Yeah, all them Spanish sausages that they eat down there, the veal and all that, yeah, that's all German. Came from the Germans.
So, you see how when cultures come together, they create their own stuff. So just go back to what we talked about yesterday. According to history, their story, there were African slaves and Indians that were not only shacking up, but they were intermingling. Where is the African Indian language? Where's the African Indian culture of food? Has anybody seen it? Anybody?
Have you smelled it? Have you tasted? What's the recipe? What it look like?
Because you can't
What's
live
in
together.
it?
You can't live together that long or be around each other that long for hundreds of years, at least 100. And there is no culture, no language, no common language, none. Just one.
Think about it. Some historians will tell you they had African slaves and Indian slaves side by side for years.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing. Everybody else rubbed something off on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else who came in contact with us and Indians rubbed off on us, we rubbed off on them. But the so-called African and Indian didn't share nothing.
They make it seem like that the Africans shedded their culture totally and just took on the Indian culture. That doesn't happen. We just don't. I just find it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
LJ Free says, "Shut your mouth, T Major. Why are you tearing down the BS narrative while the work so hard to create? You so mean." I mean, it says today,
there should be some type of merger. Two cultures collided. There should be a new culture created.
Exactly. It should be a blending. Yeah, Mike, you see, but the African is trying to act like Americans now. But those are the Africans that came over here of their own free will. We're talking about the Africans that mysteriously was at the bottom of all these slave ships for 3 months, laying in their own feces and pee, and then coming over here and then becoming the strongest, as fastest, and the brightest when they weren't that smart, that strong, that fast, that bright on their own island, on their own continent. I didn't know poop and pee can do that to you. Just saying. It says today, most German Argentines do not speak German at home because of the decline of the language. However, some estimates suggest that 1.8 million Argentines of non-German descent have some knowledge of German. It is a language that can be heard all over the country, and this is partly maintained by the continued existence of German-speaking Argentines and some business connections. It is currently the 5th spoken language in Argentina. Again.
Question. So these Germans can go over there 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, and they don't ever forget their German tongue. We supposed to start coming here, 1620? They try to say 20 Negroes, so that's supposed to be the first recorded time. So we forget everything about Africa. Not something, everything. And these people remember everything about themselves. Really?
We're less intelligent, okay?
Less intelligent? I want to see how that right intelligent works.
You said we. So you speak French now?
See? Look at you, Sell-I. Giving up your culture, picking up that French. Shame.
So here are our lists, and this says this is not an exhaustive list, meaning this is not all of it.
Yeah, y'all strap down for this one, because I don't know how many people knew this, but this is going to make you start looking at colonization not a little differently, completely differently.
So y'all ready? It says Colonia Hinojo, 5 January 1878, originally called Colonia Santa Maria, called Kamenka by the colonists, named after a number of Volga German towns in Russia. It is situated in Oberá Partido. Colonia Monte La Plata, 1906. Colonia Nuevas, 1885, called Hotzel by the colonists. Colonia San Miguel, 3 October 1881, called Delhar by settlers. Colonia Santa Rosa, 1899. Colonia San Miguel Arcangel, 1903. Coronel Sares, 1883. San Jose, 1887. Santa Trinidad, 1887. Santa Maria, 1887. How all these colonies getting set up at the same time? Yeah.
Boatloads. That's millions of Germans coming. Millions.
Darn.
If anybody came on ships at the bottom by the millions, we know who it was and we know who it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Sierra de la Ventada, 1908. Stoddard, Tornquist, Villa Gesell, Veronica, Entre Rios Province, Crespo Entre Rios, Colonia General Alviera, 1878. And those are the hamlets of the sub-provinces. Aldea Valla Maria, Aldea Sparkscunter, Aldea Salto Kelher or Santa Cruz, Aldea San Francisco, Aldea Protestante, which is Protestant, Aldea Brasilera, Aldea Maria Lucia, Aldea San Juan, Aldea San Antonio, Aldea Santa Celia, Aldea San Miguel, Aldea Santa Anita, Aldea Isidro Vija, Paranacito, and then you have Cordoba Province. I am not reading all these. I just like you take it.
We're looking over. We're close to over 50 colonies. We're close to over 50 German colonies throughout. Wow, man. Come on.
Don't laugh. It ain't funny.
What you say? No, sell out.
No, I say you did pretty good reading that last part. I probably would have been on the first few lines still.
LJ Free says, who lays an excrement? Don't make that part of our storyline when our ancestors taught your ancestors hygiene. That's disrespectful, yo.
Come on now.
LJ Free says, everyone is responsible for correcting the wrong. That is being perpetuated on the American Indian. Yeah, it's a lot, ain't it? There's a lot of peoples. You know why they call you peoples? Why they call me peoples? They call me peoples because I take care of my peoples.
That was a good minute.
You're looking.
Over 70 colonies from 1870 until present day. Over 60-something German colonies. And this is Argentina alone. Now imagine if we were to look at the German colonies of Venezuela, the German colonies of Central America. Oh my goodness. It don't make no sense. And it's kind of funny. They do tell you the majority of the slaves went where again?
South America.
A whole lot of indentured servants coming in.
So how is it that we heard about these Germans, but we don't hear about the Africans? You figure there was 70 colonies in Argentina and not one African slave? Think about that. 70 colonies, not one African slave. I'm gonna say it again. 70 colonies in Argentina alone, not one African slave.
We're not.
What was that?
So we ain't looking for them though. That's the thing. I mean, it's obvious that they ain't there.
They told you over 9.5 million to 8 million of them supposed to be in South America. You shouldn't have to look for them. I just
that's what I'm saying.
And they show up.
You should have tripped over one.
Hey, my brother, I am here. Let me see.
One of them should have got out, punch in the chest. Dr. King.
Somewhere.
What is this? What is this? Who is all these Germans here? Y'all need to go back. We was here first. Go back.
Sorry, I thought you were someone else.
Go back now. We don't want you here. Come on, man.
Yeah, nah. Yeah. There should have been one in the newspaper for murder or something.
You come over here, take our jobs. Don't give us no shoes. Go ahead.
While there's no African dialect, The Argentines, they speak in German from the influence of a culture that came there. So where are these South Americans running around speaking a form of Spanish and African? And I'm not talking about the ones that came from Spanish Africa that was already where they speak Spanish already, like Angola and all these places. No, I'm talking about a West African speaking his native tongue, meeting up with some Germans and some Argentinas, and the three of them creating a whole new dialect. Where's that?
You mean like something like
Patois?
Afghanistan? There ain't no Afghanistan. There's no Afghanistan. No African, no German, no Spanish. There's no Afghanistan. No. Okay. I mean, just wondering.
No.
He said it doesn't exist. Rats. It says cervecera y Monteria, or Quilmes Beer Company, is an Argentina brewery founded in 1888 in Quilmes, Buenos Aires province by Otto Bimberg, a German immigrant. His great-granddaughter, Maria Luisa Bimberg, took over the company until she died in 1955, and her son, Carlos Misiones Bimberg, was the director from 1889 until his resignation in May 17, 2006.
I'm still shook on these over 70 colonies.
This is an Argentina brewery founded in 1888 in Quilmes, Buenos Aires province by Otto Bimberg, a German immigrant. The company quickly started growing, and in the 1920s it was already the most popular beer in Buenos Aires. Since then, it was become something of a national symbol, and at 75% of the beer market share in Argentina. It sponsors the Argentina national football team, and the colors of its labels are Argentina's light blue and white. Quick question. In the 1920s, when it was illegal to have alcohol, was it legal to have alcohol in South America? Just a question, right? Because it was illegal in the United States, but it was very legal in South America. And I'm starting to see that if you think about it, there were a lot of companies that started moving down to South America around that time frame. Or is that just me?
No, you're correct on that. And could it be that's why it was banned in America, to get these German companies a head start? Because when you say in Venezuela, when you said the name, it made me think. The Sagis, how they try to show it as a Spanish beer, is made by the Germans.
Yeah, you talking about Dos Equis?
Yep, it's a German beer.
Stop playing. Choose wisely, my friend. Dos Equis. Dos Equis.
Think about it. Beer is made from wheat and barley. Mm-hmm. That's not a major crop of the Americas.
That's true.
They made corn liquor here. They made liquor and stuff from fruits and vegetables. It was the Europeans doing beer and stuff from barley and wheat.
But there's also a lot of wheat and barley in the Midwest, though.
Mm-hmm. Because you got to think, a lot of us, wheat not good for us in our diet.
Oh. As my daddy used to call it, David Corey, corn liquor. Corn whiskey. Let me go back. Let's see what we got. Uh-oh.
Yep, just had to check something out. 15th century, the former wheat that they grew out there was bought here. They bought that from their home.
Really?
Yep. History of wheat in America.
Swart Vader says, "Ha! Corn whiskey is called bourbon." Go ahead, Swart Vader. Yeah, potato lick is vodka. Let's see. Where we at? Okay, San Carlos de Bariloche. It says, like many cities settled by the Germans, its development was greatly influenced by them, and today the city has many examples of chalet-style architecture brought by the German, Swiss, and Austrian immigrants. It was named after Carlos Weirdhold, a German Chilean from the city of Osorno, who settled the region, and the city has become one of Argentina's top tourist destinations. That's an ugly chalet. I'm sorry. Yeah, bourbon is a house in Germany. It's one of those houses that rule. Yearly German immigration. This is the immigration from 1919 to 1932. This is the immigration, y'all. So 1919, 41,000. 1920, 87,000. Jumps to 129,000 in 1922. 195,000 in 1923. Stays pretty consistent, and then drops in 1931 to 64. And then drops again to 37. So the total is 1.6 million. So it breaks it down by province.
And that's just between 1919 and 1930.
Exactly.
Not to count all the ones that came before. It's like all of Germany is here.
Exactly. These are all the famous German Argentines. They got German and Argentina names. It's funny. They got German.
Yeah, it would fool you. You would think these people were Spaniards by looking at their names.
Yep. Again, where are the Indian African names? Huh? I ain't heard of no Umfufu Little Tail or Little Dove. What the name's at?
I'll take one. Just show me one.
There ain't no Poca Najibwe. There ain't nobody like that. I mean, I'm just saying. That's crazy. Doesn't make any sense to me. Mr. T says Gaiman, very prestigious African name. Really, Mr. TJ? Really, that's what we doing? So, Where we up to next, Bounce? What other link you want me to pull up?
Give me 1 second for to post it.
Okay. No sell out. Are you still predisposed?
Sir, yes, sir.
Are you still unavailable to read?
Yes, unavailable is the term.
Okay. Uh-oh. Who we lose?
My doppelganger. It's just I'm here still.
Oh, okay. David Corey says Africans don't say man, they say man. I mean, so y'all starting to see how all this stuff lines up. There was a massive influx of Germans, and it coincides with the time frames. They said there was a massive influx of Africans, but when we did the history from the Germans' perspective, there is no talk of slaves. There's no talk of them running any slaves, African slaves. So Grand Rising Oak Cliff. So where are these slaves that were supposed to be in Argentina? What happened to the 8 million slaves that arrived here? Or the 4 million or the 5 million? I mean, we know there was 4 million Germans. Were those the slaves they were talking about? Or the Slavs? Remember, the spelling of Slav does not change until 1788.
I posted it in the chat.
Okay. So my point is, you got all these slaves that's supposed to come over here, but there's no mention of them in Argentina. But there's a bunch of Germans that came over here. Could those be the slaves or Slavs they're talking about? I don't know. What's your take on it, Bones? Because I haven't seen a slave yet, or them talking about a slave. Just Germans.
I mean, from what they tell us, and you do the math, M-A-T-H, math, when you do the math, these people, these people that they keep telling us were moved around as slaves, it's kind of funny that the Germans' numbers, these numbers match the numbers that they told you of African slaves. That the ship voyages, the amount of ships that were going back and forth, matches the same amount of ships going back and forth, dropping off these Germans. I mean, they want us to believe that what you had Germans piled up on one set of ships, then you had Africans on a whole nother ship. And again, what business is going to spend that money to go get a foreign labor force that has no idea on what you want them to do? You can tell them foo-foo pick all day, and foo-foo don't know what you're talking about. Looking at you like you retarded.
Not too sure. This makes no sense.
And we supposed to believe that they beat grown people, and grown people got in line because you beat them. If that's the case, why as a parent you got to constantly stay on the child's behind? I'm just saying, in the history of whoopings, what whooping made a person just change everything? All they did was got better at what they were sneaking around trying to do. I'm just saying. You're going to beat up your employees, so now you got to get this crop out, but you beat him black and blue. Really? And you paid for him.
You said you.
And why would you be paying insurance? Why would you pay insurance on somebody that you beating up?
That's true. You say you dropped it in the back chat, Bones?
No, dropped it in the YouTube chat.
Oh, I'm looking out on the back.
I'm gonna drop it again.
I got it now. You
Oh, you already got it? Yeah, this just supports, and it goes into more detail over the groups and parties. And it's from it's a study from the university, so it supports the article on Wiki. So people looking for sources and stuff like that, I want to be able to vet the sources and know where it comes from.
Can you do me a favor and read for about 2 minutes? I gotta step away from them.
No problem.
All right, I'll be right back.
Pulling it up. All right. It's where we at low enough. It says, who are the Volga Germans? To Argentina. Following the elimination in 1874 of the last vestiges of the promise that had enticed the Germans to settle on the Volga in the 1760s, immigration began to North and South America. A group of approximately 200 families settled in southern Brazil, intending to continue raising wheat as they had in Russia. While many found the soils there fertile, they were unsuitable for wheat. It says in Argentina, President Nicolas Alvende signed the Immigration and Colonization Act Law number 817 on the 19th of October, 1876. While it did not nullify opportunities for spontaneous immigration, it created a system whereby land could be equitably distributed to the specific groups of European immigrants who were willing to work the virgin lands of the expansive, sparsely populated land in Argentina. It goes on and states, in August 1877, 4 representatives of the group that had settled in Brazil, Andreas Basgale, Jacob Lynchman, John Berger, and Adam Wingman, traveled to Buenos Aires, where they met with Bernardo D. Erguin, the Minister of the Interior. Mr. Erguin proposed a guarantee for up to 50,000 immigrants to be allowed into the country. I'm going to repeat this again. He proposed a guarantee for up to 50,000 immigrants to be allowed into the country. The Volga German representatives, however, were more interested in reinstating some of the privileges that they had enjoyed earlier in Russia. In addition to good soil for wheat cultivation, the final agreement provided the colonists with exemption from military service, freedom to worship as they chose, and freedom to educate their children in the German language. Following ratification of this contract by the Argentina Congress, immigration began. On the 24th of December, 1877, the first group, 8 families and 3 single men, arrived in Buenos Aires. They arrived by train in Azul, southwest of Buenos Aires, and then proceeded by oxen-drawn carts, another 35 kilometers, to the Honjo Creek, where they arrived on the 5th of January, 1878. There they founded the colony of Hinojo. They said another group that arrived only a few days later settled in Entre Rios Province. And yet another group that arrived in 1878 settled in Santa Fe Province. By the end of 1878, there were 1,003 living in Entre Rios Province, 379 in Buenos Aires Province, and 152 in Santa Fe Province. These are families, not people. The colonies have remained largely inhabited by Volga Germans through the years. Even in 2005, Again, even in 2005, approximately 90% of the inhabitants of these Volga German colonies are descendants of the original colonists. One more time for the chat. Even in 2005, approximately 90% of the inhabitants of these Volga German colonies are descendants of the original colonists. It says the Central Argentino culture, the CACW estimates that there were 2 million people of Volga German ancestry living in Argentina as of 2007. Many of these people now live in large towns and cities of Argentina, which is very weird. And also, if you click on that link, they got the sources. They also have the original manuscript, and it's written in German. So if anybody wants to download it from there and translate it.
Here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
It says that they brokered a deal. They have the immigrants come over to Argentina near Buenos Aires, right? And Buenos Aires, Bogota, and somewhere else?
Brazil, Argentina. Well, the first set was Brazil, yeah. Then they talking about Argentina. The provinces of immigration is Buenos Aires Metro, Chaco, Córdoba, Entre Rios, La Pampa, which is Misiones, and Santa Fe. These are the provinces of immigration. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 8 areas of where these families came, and they weren't people. Like they started, the first set was 200 families. It didn't say 200 people. A group of approximately 200 families settled in southern Brazil.
So, now
Mama you got to think.
Dad there, P there, C there, we there.
We there, C there, he there, she there, everybody there. But them Africans, though, they ain't there. Let me stop.
Oh, man, I shouldn't have brought that up. Now we're looking for them. You can't unsee it.
So
yeah, that's the thing when they come in. Yeah, they're not coming as individuals. They're bringing them in as whole families. Like they gets down here in 1878, where it says Santa Fe province. Yeah, by the end of 1878, there were 1,003 families living in Entre Rios province, 379 in Buenos Aires province, and 152 in Santa Fe province. Now the question is, how many people per household or per family? This is a whole lot of people, y'all. For people to act like they don't know what's going on, or for this not to be a major part of history that's taught to people.
You know how big Brazil is, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Brazil is huge.
Mm-hmm. So now think about it when they telling you that South America, you're talking about 1/3 of all Germans in the world are in North and South America. That the people, the majority of the people that's living there today are descendants of Germans. So I'm gonna ask again, what's a Spaniard?
Here's the part that I don't want people to miss. According to this history, there was nobody there before they got there, correct?
Let them tell it.
Not even Africans, right?
Mm-hmm. Not a mention, not a one. Last time we heard about an Indian was what, the 1500s? Mm-hmm.
So from the 1800s all the way to 2005, Argentina all the way down to Brazil was nothing but Germans.
Germans. When you look at the map, they show you basically they dominate all the towns and cities in South America. But the funny thing, like I said again, if you study Africa, you'll realize the Germans dominated Africa and South America. They had colonies set up in both. Still to this day, they still there.
70 colonies in Argentina, and not one African. Interesting.
Fact-free, you definitely cannot use the eye test. And plus, we got a video that's going to be dropping pretty soon that it's going to clear up a lot of this for people, then it's going to confuse a lot more. 2 sisters, identical twins, one black, one white. Don't worry. Hold on to your seats.
You just gonna do that to them like that? That's a serious cliffhanger.
Just preparing them, getting them ready, so when it airs, it won't be no concussions.
I hope they got some strong fingers.
But I mean, in all honesty, just looking at South America, the 2 places, think about it, what we did, 2-3 countries so far in South America.
Yeah.
We see in Venezuela that you had American/German companies setting up all the fruit companies in that area. You see that they done brought their German relatives in to South America, Brazil, Argentina, and other places to start being farmers there. It's just wow.
Wild is an understatement. It's crazy. Where are all these Africans? That's all I want to know. Where are the Africans in South America? Can somebody tell me?
Oh, think somebody calling in. Think they got the answer.
Yeah, right.
Oh no, I was just being optimistic.
And of course, it would be my
That's usually me.
my phone right by the microphone. My bad, y'all.
I know, right? Yeah. No, them Africans really trying to get in touch with you.
Don't do that.
That's what I thought for a second. Bye.
You dumb.
But it's just something to really start thinking and start backing away from this romance story that they gave you to make you fall in love with a foreign land that's not even yours.
I mean, but if the price is right, you can go over there and it will be yours. Sorta, kinda, not really. Never mind.
I mean, if you go over there, let's keep it 100. If you go over there with an agreement between the U.S. and Ghana, you are going to colonize. Make no mistake about it. I'm sending you over there for your embetterment.
Say it one more
First
time.
American colony over there was what? First American colony was what? Liberia. And Liberia was a big failure. It was designed to be a big failure.
So if it was designed to be a big failure and it failed, was it a success? I'm confused. Never mind.
Yes, it was a success for them. Because now they got a stable government. And like we said before, if you study how these people move, they come in and they change the infrastructure. They come in, they start all this unrest, and they start handpicking the leaders that they want in place. And before you know it, you're too busy arguing with people over the color of their skin, the length of their hair, what they identify as. By the time you realize you've been had, you've been had. But it would make sense that they would send that many people and keep sending them over. Let's not forget, when we studied the Ottoman Empire, what did we learn? The Ottoman Empire alone was overpopulated by 30 million. France and Europe, they were overpopulated by another 15 million. And it's kind of funny, the overpopulated numbers are the same amount of people that tend to show up over here.
That's facts, Bones.
You talking about them doppelgangers?
Mm-hmm.
Lectio da Facilio. The story that's
Think about it. They
recycled
tell
is the
you.
main one. Go ahead, boss.
Remember, the slave story started with 15 to 20 million. They tried to say at one time, but it's kind of funny. I can see why they would change it and make it smaller, because we know the only people that came over here like 15, 20 million deep was them Germans and them Irish.
Oh.
That's recorded. They had shipping records, names, when they got on, where they got off at, and how much they owed and how long they had to work to pay it off. So now you keeping
proof
it.
is not a problem, by the way.
You keeping all these records, and I'm gonna say it again. You are keeping all these records of people that you deem to be civilized and citizens. Now your slave class, who not only you had to send people to go get them, snatch them up, bring them back, clean them up, have insurance for them, housing, and teach them a work set, a skill set to work.
That sounds like a bad investment.
It is a bad investment. That's a loss. Why would you go that far to go get some employees and they in your backyard already? That's like me hiring somebody 4 states over to work for me, but I'm gonna bypass the people in my neighborhood. Now I got to pay for this person. I got to pay for transportation for this person. Back and forth, shelter, security, insurance, keeping them healthy. When it'll be a lot more cost effective. Think about it. They say these people were over here for money.
Yep.
So you're not making money that way. And TMH, you say it all the time. That is a dumb business model. Nobody does business under that model if you want to be successful and make a profit. That's a no-no.
Back then, it would have got you killed.
And again, if they can tell you all these people, all these Germans make up the majority of the population of this place now, that should tell you all you need to know.
Yeah. I was trying to find out some that Doodle put in the chat. Hold on, give me a second. He said earlier, he said the Germans talked about tall black men that were already here. Okay, we have to get some more information on that one.
Yeah, Bill would have to be introduced, because I'm going to go back again. People got to remember, wheat isn't natural to the Americas. Our ancestors had more of a corn diet. Mm-hmm. The closest thing that we had to wheat over here was wild rice. That's why a lot of us grew up naturally eating wild rice cereals. Corn cereals and wild rice cereals, all this wheat stuff. And think about your average so-called mislabeled African American. What does wheat and bread do to your system?
It causes gluten intolerance. We have a gluten intolerance for many of us.
Mm-hmm. So it lets you know it's not part of our natural diet. It's not in our genetic makeup.
Grand Rising, Pamela Hall Pass. Doodle Vision says Andes equals Indios equals Indian. And then Kaninin equals Guianan, which equals Guinea, which equals Guyana.
Oh, yeah. As we move further on down this timeline, you will come to learn that Ghana was created.
It's going to shock you.
Yes, it's a colony.
Capienio says, see why descendants of those that came here feel the way that they do about immigration.
Mm-hmm. But think about it. You're talking about over 20 million there. You see how you can change the whole culture of a landmass? So if you can see how it can be done to South America, it should tell you everything you need to know about what happened to us in North America and what's still going on with us. And then my next question will always be, if these Germans, these Nazis were so hated, how did they get there? And why are they still there to this day?
DeutschargentinierGermano says Ghana is a colony created for Indians from the Americas to settle.
Yep. Mainly relatives, all the places on that continent where they try to make you focus on are created colonies. A lot of the languages that they tell you are African languages are mixed languages between German and the language that the people in the area were speaking. You have Africans that are fluent in Spanish. Remember, North Africa was controlled by what? The Ottoman Empire. It's part of the Iberian Peninsula.
Capenio says, he says, Ghana didn't exist until 1957. Its name and everything about its derivative. Then he says, and now they want the Indians here to go there to the former British colony and have them think they're going home. Duna Vision says, all of West Africa is a European colony. That's something to think about, y'all. All of West Africa is European colonies. And that's why they try to tell us that we come from.
I posted another link in there, very interesting. It's showing you on these numbers. And these numbers are important because you can line them up with the amount of so-called African slaves they supposedly bought. These people weren't coming over here as individuals. They were coming over here as whole families intact. It says Entre Rios. It says the founding of General Alvear colonies on the 21st of July, 1878, established the presence of Volga Germans in the province of Entre Rios. The initial wave of Volga German immigrants bought 1,625 families. Again, the initial wave, this is 1878, the initial wave of Volga German immigrants bought 1,625 families, about 8,000 people to Entre Rios. It says Aldea. In Entre Rios, the term Aldea is used often as a reference to a colony rather than the term colina. And this term is used on many maps and on the highway signs in the province. So basically everything that we read was a colony.
Darn.
And on this same link, if you want to see how deep and how many more colonies they are, if you click on the link, right after the last paragraph, they got all their primary settlements. These are their primary settlements.
So I got the screen up and I'm sharing it. So you talking about just click on any one of them? Bassa v Bassa? Okay.
I'm gonna say page not found for that one.
Yeah. Me too. Hold on. This page not found for
They don't have them all filled out yet. No, they don't have all the information filled out on them.
Okay. Let me see if there's one that's San Antonio. Nope. They don't have none of these figured out yet. Free says, do you want one lump or two? David Carey says, if you don't get on, I'm going to put a Huguenot on your head. Really, David? A huge knot. Excuse me. Hopefully this is making sense to you. I mean,
yeah, I posted one that has the information in it.
Okay.
Microphone check.
Really? You said microphone check?
Just making sure I'm coming in clear.
We got you. You're loud and clear.
All right, pulled it up. It's entry, Rios province, and I'm starting at the history part. It says the first inhabitants of the area that is now Entre Rios was Churua and China, who each occupied separate parts of the region. Spaniards entered in 1520 when Rodriguez Serrano ventured up the Uruguay River searching for the Pacific Ocean. The first permanent Spanish settlement was erected in the current La Plaza department at the end of the 16th century. As governor of the Ashcan first, and then Buenos Aires conducted expeditions to Entre Rios, unexplored lands. Juan de Grey, after founding Santa Fe, explored this area, which he called La Otra Banda, the other bank. It says, however, the region remained entirely indigenous and uninhabited by Europeans until a group of colonists from neighboring Santa Fe, excuse me, Santa Fe province settled on the Vallada del Paraná in the late 17th century, now the site of the capital. At the same time, towns appear, which we now know as Nagoya, Victoria, Gulagil or Gulagay. That fourth one I definitely ain't gonna mess up. Concession de Uruguay and
Concordia. I can take it from here.
Yeah, that other one, that Guale, I'm not even. I know that's gonna get messed up.
It's I think it's Gale Guyachu.
Whatever you said, I'm agreeing with.
Then we have the next paragraph. It says Thomas de Locamada further explored the area in 1783 under the threat of Portuguese invasion from Brazil. Now we know the Portuguese are nothing more than Iberians. And gave official status to many of the above mentioned towns. He was also the first to refer to the region as Entre Rios. Okay, he was also the first to refer to the region as Entre Rios. Who named you? Who named the area? Come on, man.
They got them pet names again.
Mm-hmm. At this stage, European settlement was minimal, though during the May Revolution, the few colonists in the cities along the Paraná shore supported Miguel Belgrano and his army on his way to Paraguay. In September 29, 1820, the leader, Caudillo Francisco Ramirez, declared the territory an autonomous entity, the Republic of Entre Rios. This lasted until his assassination on July 10th on the next year. First of all,
made somebody mad.
Right, an assassination means somebody you trusted killed. K-I-L-T. Yep, it's a word. Don't look it up. 1853, in a meeting of all provinces except Buenos Aires, Paraná was elected as the capital of Argentine Confederation, and the governor of Entre Rios and leader Claudio Urquiza as its first president. The provincial capital was moved to Concepción del Uruguay. Later, Urquiza, who had first won against Buenos Aires at the Battle of Cepeda in 1859, let his troops move back in the even Battle of Pavón in 1861, which allowed his rival Bartolomé Mitre from Buenos Aires to become president. At the time, he was fulfilling his third term as governor on the province from 1860 to 1864, and after a voluntary interruption was re-elected in 1886, but he was assassinated in 1870 after altogether 16 years of governor before finishing his mandate, which had probably been ordered by his supporter, Ricardo Lopez Jordan, not trusting him anymore. So that's 2 assassinations, y'all. I don't know if I want to be involved in this. I'm just saying. Taking on their ancestors' ways, them Europeans like that, just popping people. Urquiza encouraged immigration through colonization contracts, setting up many agricultural colonies with Europe, mainly Volga Germans, Russians, including Russian Jews and Poles. The Italian, Swiss, and French settlers, according to data on the 1903 census, of the 425,373 inhabitants of the province, 153,067 were immigrants. I'm going to stop right there right quick because I want to bring up something. They still haven't said anything about any African slaves.
Not a one. Not one tarred foot hopping around talking about let me go yet.
Where are the slaves? Where are the African slaves? We talk about from Argentina to Brazil and no slaves. I thought they sent over 4 million over here. Oh, well, those are Germans.
Think about the majority. Remember, the majority of the slaves in the Atlantic slave trade went to the islands in South America.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we done did the islands. We're in South America now, so where are these people at? We shouldn't be hearing about nobody coming over but Africans. But you got Germans setting up over here in the 1500s and 1600s.
Why did they do that? It says Entre Rios economy is the 6th largest in Argentina. Its output in 2006 was estimated at 7.7 billion or 6,710 per capita in 2006, about the 4th less than national average. In 2013, its output was estimated at 63.814 billion or pesos.
That's a large increase.
And that says that's about 11.688 billion. Or 48,327 pesos per capita at the current market price. This 21% below the average GDP per capita of 69,678 pesos for Argentina in 2013, and its economy has long been more agricultural than the median in Argentina, comprising about 15% output. Interesting. Entre Rios agriculture products include rice, 60% of national production, soybeans, wheat, maize, and citrus, of which the second biggest producer of exporting 16% of the production, mainly to Europe. Livestock production focuses on cattle, 4.5 million head, and in sheep production in a decreasing proportion, covering 60,000 kilometers. The dairy industry, currently in expansion, produces almost 250,000 tons per year of dairy products. That's a lot of dairy.
But did you see where their exports go to? Europe.
Yeah, the export.
Basically, it seemed like when these Europeans were starving, and our ancestors who helped them with the potatoes and other food objects, it seems to me that they didn't want to trade anymore. That these Europeans was like, no, we'll come over, get the land, and produce our own goods and send it back home.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, they say, what, 16% of their main production goes to Europe?
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that the same over here? A lot of our finer goods go, all our fine goods go there, to Europe?
Yeah. That's exactly what it's looking like. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, it seemed like colonization was the means
to outsource farming back to their people and to feed their people.
Yeah, outsource work. But eventually you had another group. You had to pay these people. These people wasn't going for it anymore. So you brought your own people in. I mean, mainly since our ancestors got it up and running and it's the hottest thing popping on the planet. Okay, yeah, now bring your workforce in and have your old workforce train them. You seen the next part on chicken and eggs? It says, it states, on the national production of chickens and eggs, Entre Rios contributes 37% of the first, that's chickens, and 25% of the second. Another emerging production is honey. Whoa. And it diverts mainly for export. And its derivatives mainly for export. But I thought all the bees were dying out, ain't no more honey. I'm saying though. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be no more honey if you send it all to Europe and giving us this refined chemical sugar that ain't gonna have you around here while the majority of our population walking around with high blood pressure or diabetes.
David Corey, when I said kilt, K-I-L-T, I was talking about dead, not a skirt or a dress.
David Corey. Well, if you study Africa, you'll realize Africa was colonized by multiple sets of Europeans and Iberians. And what's interesting to me about reading about this area, how these people are doing all this farming and all this work and being sent out. And the funny part is, isn't that how America made its wealth off the back of our ancestors doing what they did naturally, farming and taking care of the land?
Right.
I mean, you can see, it's easy to see the similarities. But it's just funny to me how they'll tell you that they went to South America and colonized it first. But if you study the timeline, you come to find out that North America was colonized before South America.
Yep.
It's the 1800s and they setting up colonies in South America, where colonies are already up, running, and established and becoming states in North America.
Yep.
And I want to know why they have a detailed shipping manifest for all these Europeans, Iberians, whatever you want to call them. We can't even get a half decent one for a so-called African slave ship. They show you some 2x4s floating at the bottom of the river, and that's supposed to be a ship.
Did you say 2x4s floating at the bottom of the ocean?
2x4s floating at the bottom of the river. Supposed to be a slave ship. Let them tell it. They can't even give us a ripped handwritten letter of a cargo list of these slaves. And then people be like, oh, but they got slave ports around the coast of Africa. All right, y'all. Let's use common sense here real quick. If I'm taking you from America someplace else, do I need a fort sitting in the islands to move you? No. That fort would be designed to bring foreigners in. Because before you bring a foreigner in and put him on the land, you would want to put him in these forts, in these places, to make sure that they're not bringing anything that's going to mess up your population. Why do you think when they bought these Slavs here, they took them to these isolated island areas first before they brought them to the mainland? You notice during this whole trade thing, you go someplace else first, stay there for a minute, then you're relocated. It's just like in the military. Don't you train someplace else to get your skill set down packed before you get deployed to where you're going to go?
Exactly.
Same thing in the workforce, same thing in college, same thing in school. So why would it be different in any other aspect of life? Trying to tell me millions of people just hopping, just going over. No, come on, man. It don't work that way.
Brother Choctaw Jimmy. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Bones. I thought you finished. My bad.
Oh, no, just last piece that just popped in my head. And if it's a slave port that's keeping these people there, wouldn't the cannons be facing the mainland and not the open sea?
Yeah.
Because you would be worrying about African tribes running up on you to get their people back from the mainland. So why the cannons are facing the ocean?
Choctaw Jimmy. James Flame. Doodle Vision. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Greetings, Brother Thomas, Brother Bones, Brother No Sellout, Brother Copper Indio in the chat. This segment, I'm going to take a page out of Thomas, and Thomas. This segment is being brought to you by Lady Free. Lady Free, what's in a name? Everything. I know y'all don't want to go into overtime, so we're not going to go into overtime. I put a link in the back chat and give you all an opportunity, and maybe we can discuss it in detail, and I'll be able to be on early tomorrow. Sorry, sleep finally caught up with me last night. So once sleep calls, it just happens.
Gotta answer.
So yeah. That's it. So I put that link in the back chat, and so if y'all could share it with others, but I'll drop this name. I'm going to say his name properly, and then I'll tell you how we probably say it. It is Alibar Nunez Cabeza de Baca. That's how you would say it properly, but I will say how we probably say it. Alvar Nunez Cabeza de Vaca. What's in a name? So y'all can also put that in the back chat for me. I mean, on the chat for me on YouTube. I greatly appreciate it. So we're gonna talk about him. We're gonna talk about the people that he met along the way. Because yes, he went from the Americas all the way down to Mississippi, all the way down Mesoamerica, and all the way into South America. And one of the spots that he talks about in detail is Argentina. And I'm gonna put the documents in there in the back chat as well, so we can go over it if you don't. I don't mind for it tomorrow. But when you look at that, and he talks about the people, they said that this is what they tried to clean up and say Native Americans met him on the shores. You're gonna find out that these Native Americans that so-called met him on the shores were Huguenots.
Whoa.
Then he saw some tall black men, and he asked these Huguenots, he said, who are they and where did they come from? They said, we don't know. They could have possibly have come and been shipwrecked, slave ships that was shipwrecked. Now here's the problem with that. If the Huguenots are living on the coast of Argentina, how did these tall black men, as they described them, get behind them without them knowing the ship was wrecked? Come on, son. And said that they lived in the mountains. You're going to find out that these tall black men, as they describe them, are Olmec. And I'm going to prove it by the name. And I'm going to prove that the Olmecs came to North America. Go along with the artifacts and everything else, tying in that we are all the same cotton picking people. I hear this cotton picking mic. No overtime. No Jerry Lewis telethon. No 8-hour special. We're not going to do it. No miniseries. Like New Edition. Bobby Brown. Roots. Oh man, we can't talk about Roots. I'm sorry, that was fictitious. Don't believe the hype. I'm off the mic.
Y'all know what that means, relatives. It's going down tomorrow rising. It is going down. I just skimmed over what he posted. Wow.
Yeah. What's up with that Native American stuff?
I see you, brother. No sell out. Why did you click that link, man? You remember the days of AOL when they say, "Oh, you won $10,000." Click the link, and all of a sudden, those pop-ups start coming. That's what you did. I told you don't click the link till later. Don't click that. It's a hot link.
He said, "Don't click it." I clicked it. Peter Griffin would have "Don't push this button."
But we know who not to leave in charge of the button.
You know, No Sellout has a lot of nicknames that are comparable to No Sellout. No Compliance is another.
No button pushing responsibility.
All I saw was push button and click link. All right.
Yeah, I said the only time you see no is if he's looking at his name in the chat. That's the only time you read no. Other than that, it don't exist.
See, here.
No push the button. Oh, that means NO push the button. Let me stop.
I thought it was a command. It's like,
I read the sentence
no,
wrong.
push the button. No.
I did not.
Free says, I thought we agreed that I get to watch over the button. Yeah, Free, you do get to watch over the button, but you know your twin in trouble. You know, sometimes he look quick with the twitchy fingers. Grand Rising James Gilmore. So, good people. This was some phenomenal information. Hope everybody got something out of it. We're starting to realize that the Brazilians aren't Brazilians, and the Argentinians aren't Argentinian.
It still ain't nobody African.
There ain't no Africans in South America.
Oh man.
So from Honduras. So from Argentina to Honduras to Brazil is all Iberians and Francs, aka Spanish and Germans. That's crazy, right? So what is Brazil? When 95% of the people that live in Brazil are German. I don't know. You tell me. Something to think about. Who named them Brazilians? Because they speak, their language is broken up into Spanish and Portuguese, right? Which is basically two of the languages that are spoke in the Iberian Peninsula, right?
Correct.
And if 95% of them are Germans, that means the Germans went and got them from Honduras and brought them down to Brazil and married and intermingled with them. Because when we was reading about what happened earlier, there was nobody in Brazil at first, according to history. But I'm just saying. So you figure by this time, let the story tell it. You know, people have already moved out, so they found it like this, and it was empty. So I'm sure there were some remnants, but for the most part, you got Iberians and Franks, Baines and Franks in Brazil. That's crazy, right? Who named them that? Just a thought. Hopefully this information will help you understand how to contact them or where to go to get information if you find some of your lines going down that direction. Honduras, Venezuela, Chile, Buenos Aires, Brazil. You'll know exactly who to contact. The Germans. They have your history if your people lead you that way. And all this has been further proof and confirmation that the Germans did the teaching, they taught, and they are running everything in South America, from Honduras all the way down to Brazil. So something to think about. You know. So is there anything anybody want to say before we let these good people get on their way?
Keep following the breadcrumbs. I know, Brother No Sell. I remember this movie. What's the name of that movie with Tracy Morgan and oh man, his name totally slipped my mind now. Bruce Willis. Y'all remember that movie?
Oh, when they were police officers.
Yep. What did the lady that all she knew was Spanish? What did she keep calling Tracy Morgan's character?
Oh man, the movie was called Cop Out. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, Paul. So now you got to find out what is Paul in Portuguese and in Spanish. Paul.
Come on now, you can hear it. How it's spelled.
It was Amber. That Amber is going to lead you back to Brazil. They try to say it's dealing with the wood, but it was dealing with the people. The amber-looking people. That were the original people of Brazil that were pushed out. But we're going to get into what's in the name. I'm going to start putting in the back chat, like I said, because I don't want people to go into overtime and remember to think. And everybody keep telling you, oh, man, we all the same fam. We all the same fam, but they don't give you any proof. I'm going to give you a name. And that is the reason why you're going to find out why you keep finding the same names in our people. Why we keep naming our children the same. Oh, that was your great-grandmother's name. And it could be an old name, because I got some old names in my family. Like, what in the world are you doing naming your child that? And you're going to figure out it was the name to tie you back to who you were. And when you find out, and the words that we've been speaking, and the names of these places, when people tell me, I'm going to say this, now I am going to yield the mic. When these African Americans, these Pan-Africans keep talking about, oh, what customs did y'all do? What culture? Why don't y'all speak y'all language? And I don't use this word very often, but idiots. We're going to show you without a shadow of a doubt, your common everyday language that you speak is our original tongue. So after that, you're going to have to shut your faces. I use this kind of picking mic.
One for your mind. Two for the troubles. Three for the time. All right, so no sellout.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm off mute. Mic check.
Yeah, what you got? What you got for the people before we head on out?
Same thing as yesterday.
Really? That's what we doing.
If y'all remember what I said, I don't remember what I said. But appreciate everybody for coming out today. This nice to a Friday rising. Man, a lot of information. I can't wait till tomorrow. I started reading. I shouldn't have read. It was fun though, and I actually, was ready to read it. But TMH telling us I'm no overtime. Man, all right, it's just gonna be 0-0 today. Appreciate y'all for coming out. Hit us up if you got any comments, questions, concerns, and or corrections for us. Please, you know where to find us. We got a number at the top of the screen still right now, and even when we leaving. But yeah, hit us up at DeutschargentinierGermano-argentinos@gmail.com. Website, forum, all that. Peace, y'all.
Did you say you almost hung up?
Yeah, I'm reaching for the hang up button on my headphones. I almost hung up. I'm going on mute.
So, public service announcement for those of y'all with ratchets, please be careful, because we don't need to be inadvertently deleting messages. Ibrahim had put something in the chat, and what he had put was, I think the whole thing about whites intermingling with other people is to preserve their population. So it got deleted by somebody. So please be careful with your ratchets. We don't want people thinking that they can't say something or that it's going to be blocked. So
yeah, that wasn't even controversial, I don't think. So
yeah, so
TMH read it out loud, so it definitely wasn't controversial. Yeah. So yeah, just be careful. If it slipped, that's fine and dandy, but if not, just behave yourselves a little bit as far as the ratchets go. People have the freedom to say whatever they want to say. Just don't get disinfectful.
Get disinfectful, really. Our apologies, Ibrahim Ishmael. Anyway, it's grown folks, boy.
I ain't mean to cut into you.
No, you good. Really? You gonna do a copper? You gonna do a copper Indio? Shout out to Copper Indio.
Peace, Copper. Or should I say peace?
David Corey said, "Whoa, we still got 30 minutes." David Corey, you do realize the show ends at 10:30 and not at 11?
Look, he done seen it end at 11, so you can't say that.
We're supposed to end at 11.
Suppose. SPOSED. Suppose.
Yeah. We're supposed to end. Yeah, Ishmael, your one of your messages got deleted inadvertently, so we were just trying to tell people to be careful and not to be deleting messages inadvertently.
What happened?
Man.
What happened?
So that's all we saw about Abraham.
Man, I'm going back on mute.
Really? This is what we doing? Hold on, I gotta let somebody in because they got kicked out. Anyway. Alright. Got me over here multitasking rating.
You masquerading as a multitasker?
Yeah, got me multitasking rating. So I want to say shout out and say peace to the new subscribers. Hopefully this has been educational and entertaining. We hope that you got a better understanding of what we're here for and what we're trying to do. It's all about genealogy, helping people tie back to whoever their people are. We're not creating a narrative, and we're not telling you who you are and who you're not. We're just pointing out the facts based off of the information that we find. Also, peace and shout outs to the Autochthonous Assembly, aka A2 Silent Majority. You know, y'all the reason why we have the numbers that we have, and we thank you. We know that you're doing the work and moving in silence. So we definitely we appreciate when we're able to hear from you, but we also know just because we don't mean you're not there. So thank you. And to the best chat ever, swinging them ratchets like a bunch of wild construction people. What's going on? Appreciate y'all for holding it down, passing out the equipment, and keeping us on our toes and making sure we do what we're supposed to do when we're supposed to do it. Again, it's all about genealogy. We're not here to tell you who you are. We're not here to tell you who you're not. If you want to claim African tribe, that's totally on you. Hopefully you'll be able to find that tribe and learn their language and learn their culture and customs if that's what makes you happy. If you try to tie into your Indian, Indian side, then that's what we're here to help you with also. And for those who tie in to their relatives or they're just getting started and you want to learn how to be self-sufficient, put yourself and your relatives in the best position possible, stay tuned. You know, we're always dropping information on USDA grants and HUD Section 3 opportunities. So, you know, if that's something that you want to do for yourself and your community, you know, reach out to us at attacktheassembly.com/forum. So with that, I'm going to let Bones H. McCoy do what he do, and then he can take us up out of here. So, all right, y'all take care, and I relinquish the mic.
All right, appreciate that, TMH. James Flames, sellout. Appreciate all the work that y'all do. I say it's enjoyable working with my brothers every rising. To the chat, the ones that's active, y'all keep pushing us. Keep us on the edge and make sure that we keep this correct. To the ones that's listening, make sure that as you listen, the parts of our story that relate to you, write it down, pass it on. Help as many people as you can along our journey. Because what's the sense of having knowledge and information if it's never applied? That's wasted time. In this life of ours, you can basically get everything back except time. So let's not waste it. And if we're not going to waste it on ourselves, we definitely shouldn't be wasting it on nobody else. So on that note, it's always fun when we get together with the relatives. No place we'd rather be in the rising. Everyone have a very, very blissful day. And until the next rising show, peace.
Peace, y'all.
Warning, warning, warning. Hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots required.